One last chance for Israel Adesanya to get a win and potentially prolong his career for a few more years. And here's how it's gonna go. This fight, for the most part, let's be honest here, is gonna be a point fight on the feet, tit for tat, leg kicks here and there, and for the most part, a jab fest. I'm calling it now. Nassourdine Imavov is a slow fighter, not in terms of like his actual speed, but in terms of his pace. He does not put on a crazy pace with you. Look at the fights against Roman Dolidze, look at the fights against Jared Cannonier, look at the fights against Brandon Allen. For the most part, Nassourdine Imavov is a slow fighter. In the first rounds, he'll usually drop the first round, or at least not get it completely going in the first round, like the fight against Jared Cannonier. Don't get me wrong, he was doing well at the start of that fight, but later on, Jared Cannonier, you know, picked it up. If you can catch Nassourdine Imavov off guard in the first round like Brandon Allen did and take him down, you can win the first round. Adesanya has the option to go for a takedown. He won't do that, but I do imagine Adesanya will edge him out in the first round. Now, for the most part, this fight, while it will be decided on the feet in a point tit-for-tat battle, Israel Adesanya's specialty. He can beat anybody in that style. If you're on the feet with him, unless you're Sean Strickland in all honesty, and maybe Alex Pereira who has a touch of death, you are probably eventually going to succumb to the Israel Adesanya style. Like, even Alex Pereira was losing majority of the rounds in their first fight. The second fight, the first round was close, but I think Israel Adesanya might have done enough to win the first round as well. And the second round, Alex was winning until the KO. That's the thing with Adesanya. He will edge out close decisions, and the problem with Adesanya is, even though he's a tit-for-tat fighter, he does have the knockout power in his hands to the point where you can't overextend. Look at Rob Whittaker, look at Paulo Costa, look at Alex Pereira. This stuff happens, and after a while, fighters decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have this weird exchange with Adesanya. We're kind of like playing his game, but also like acting like we have our own game plans in there. Like, every now and then you would see Jared Cannonier blitz and Adesanya just back off and just stick to his game plan. Mamatory would threaten the takedowns. Adesanya stuffing the takedowns, sticking to his game plan. The same pace in every single Adesanya fight. It does make it boring, especially if you look at the Yoel Romero fight. Made it completely unwatchable to watch, in all honesty. But Adesanya is never going to speed it up. He did try, then he got hit on the face by Yoel Romero, and he was like, alright, God, let me just hold off for a second. Let me go back to my pace, and let me just edge it out. Even if it was like a no strikes landed kind of fight. Nassourdine Imavov is kind of in a similar vein where he will edge you out round to round basis, but he does get tired more often. Like, it is easier to take rounds of Nassourdine Imavov. Like, if Brandon Allen could have kept the takedowns coming after the first round, he would have probably won that fight. All he needs to do is stay on Nassourdine Imavov and keep him down. Like, despite the fact that his name ends with a V at the end, he is a Frenchman at heart. He does not have the grappling game that a lot of fighters with the name ending in V, especially a lot of fighters whose last name have two V's in their last name. You know what I mean? He has two V's, Imavov, you know? He has two V's in his name. Despite that, he's disgracing the last names ending with V archetype of fighters. Anyway, that is not a part of his game that I'm expecting him to like completely exert his will onto Israel Adesanya with. Look at the Sean Strickland fight. I get it. It was on 1 month's notice, but Strickland got fight on 1 month notice as well. Both of them was on short notice. He fought Strickland, and Strickland clearly outpointed him. Again, like on the feet, he was getting outstruck, and he didn't have the counters that Adesanya has in those situations. If Adesanya's getting outstruck like he was against Alex Pereira, don't get me wrong, the Strickland fight is a complete outlier. I can't believe that should happen. To this day, I still think he would beat him in a rematch. But as he ages, it's getting harder and harder to back that theory up. But as things are right now, I do think Adesanya will get this done. Nassourdine Imavov does not have the striking capabilities to push the pressure forward and be able to control the pace of the fight. If someone is outstriking him, they're probably just outstriking him. Cannonier started to take over that fight. Roman Dolidze, for the most part, was putting him against the fence, getting flipped over, then putting him against the fence again. Roman Dolidze is a trash striker, though. Bad gas tank himself. Could have won that fight if they actually were fair with it and just disqualified Nassourdine Imavov, and Roman Dolidze just never got up because of the illegal knee. But that's another thing about Nassourdine Imavov. He's a bit of a hothead, right? Anyway, I've yapped on a little bit too much. I will say one more thing I wanted to add in this video. Israel Adesanya has become friendly with Rob Whittaker in recent times. I do think he can implement that in and out game that Rob Whittaker has. If they're training together, that stick and move game that Rob Whittaker implements really well, I think Adesanya could move his game more closer to that one, especially for this fight. I mean, Adesanya has looked slower in recent times. I think that's to do with the big body mass that he's put on. He's a big, beefy fella now. He was a skinny fighter. I'm a skinny guy, he's been saying for years. He has beefed up. He looks swole. Swole Adesanya is among us. He has power in his hands, and again, the technique and the striking ability of Adesanya is to be marveled at. Don't get me wrong. It is very fluid and technical and all that stuff. Like, he will get his jab out there, he'll hit you before you hit him, and when you come in, he will have a counter ready to move out of the way and hit you with a jab, in all honesty. And then from a distance, he will like kick you, eventually breaking you apart, and all that good stuff. Now, I am seeing some people say, oh my god, Nassourdine Imavov, he's a young, hungry up-and-comer. Adesanya is that aging champion that has just lost. He might be going on a slide, and we've seen a history of that in the middleweight division. Chris Weidman after losing the belt. Honestly, we've seen that with Anderson Silva. Just basically exploding. Their careers exploding in front of their faces after losing the title. Michael Bisping suffered that KO loss to Kelvin Gastelum after losing the belt to GSP. GSP himself left the sport, so we never got to see that. So fair play to him. Luke Rockhold. Just absolute careers exploding. Hair there everywhere in the middleweight division. I don't think that's the guy for that to happen to Adesanya is Nassourdine Imavov. I think if it was Khamzat Chimaev, if it was potentially, well, obviously DDP and Strickland beat him, or if it was Chao Barao even, with the power that Chao Barao possesses, and I've seen that consistently, I do think they would have better chances against Adesanya and finishing him off. Nassourdine Imavov's style is just there to lose to Adesanya on a Saudi Arabia card because he can main event such cards because of his last name ending with a V. And that's the thing with this fight. Adesanya should be able to get this done, and he needs to get this done because this is Stylebender's last chance to be bending stuff. You know what I mean? If he loses here, it's probably game over, game, set, match. Adesanya said he does want to retire soon, so maybe that's the path he goes down. But after this fight, if he does lose, what do they do with him? Like, realistically, do you give him Chao Barao anyway? Like, okay, we'll give you a big name. Well, not a big name, but a top 5 guy. Put you on the co-main of a pay-per-view. Is that what they do with Adesanya? Do they take him down the Anderson Silva route where he's just like co-main of any pay-per-view just by the fact that he is a far less interesting fighter to pay attention to nowadays? Is that what's happening here? Is this Adesanya's Michael Bisping that Anderson Silva had to deal with? Is this the point in his career where he's fighting someone where, like, well, obviously he whoops them up and then he somehow loses? I don't think so, because Anderson Silva was just throwing fights on purpose for some weird reason. I don't think Adesanya is up to that level quite yet. He does want to win fights still. His hunger is being tested. Like, how hungry is Adesanya? He's got the money. He said, fuck the belt, you know, I don't need it. He said that a million times, fuck the belt, I don't need the belt. I'm Israel Adesanya, you know who I am, remember my name, and all that stuff. Is that, what does that say? Broken native, cringe. Anyway, Israel Adesanya, he has shown that he doesn't care about the title. He has shown that he's bigger than the title now, apparently. And that's why he's on the main event of a fight night. No trade shown. No shade thrown. It is the big Saudi card, so putting a big, massive star like Adesanya, there's no shame in not being on the pay-per-view in any way. Especially when you go to the Middle East. You're probably getting that good oil money anyway. You're probably getting your pay-per-view points worth of money anyway. Who cares? Nassourdine Imavov is just so boring though. Like, I'm being honest with you. I am praying to God Israel Adesanya wins this fight. Because I'll be honest with you. There was a time where a young Le President was a follower of the UFC in 2019, and against all odds, despite being an underdog, I said to my friends, Adesanya beats Whittaker, and my friend said, no, he doesn't. And I was just capping out of my mouth. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Melbourne. I'm gonna go watch that fight. I'm gonna see Adesanya. You know what? I'm actually planning on going in October because that's when the pay-per-view was. I was capping out of my mouth. I didn't have that kind of money in 2019. I do nowadays have that money because of my job and, you know, gambling and all that stuff, but you know, I was there to watch Adesanya fight in Perth against DDP. I was rooting against Adesanya. But against Nassourdine Imavov in a fight night in the middle of nowhere east, I do want the guy to win. Like, a deepest part of me, my subconscious knows, there was a point in my life where I did love Israel Adesanya as a fighter, and I wanted to see him become the GOAT of the middleweight division. I don't think he ended up reaching those levels, but he is the second greatest middleweight of all time. No questions about it. He's fighting Nassourdine Imavov. A tough fighter, let's be honest here. We might be thinking, oh my god, Nassourdine Imavov, what the hell? He lost to Strickland. Strickland right now arguably beat DDP in his last fight. Arguably is right now the middleweight champion in the world. Destroyed Paulo Costa in his last fight. Was on a bit of a run before that. Beat Adesanya himself. So that loss isn't really like in hindsight we can look back and like be like, okay, so Strickland wasn't the best guy to lose to at the time, coming off a loss against Jared Cannonier in a point fighting exchange. So you'd think obviously he'd lose to Adesanya. But no, it turns out in recent times, ever since he started training with Alex Pereira, his striking has gotten way better. He's way more unorthodox. You have no clue. Like, I say unorthodox, he has a very similar style, but nowadays he's just so awkward with it on the feet. Like, it's just hard to counter. It's tough, right? It's tough. The pick is Israel Adesanya, as you can see right here. And I have parlayed him with Sergey Pavlovich, who will destroy Rosenstruck. Don't get me started on that shit. But it is tough. It's Israel Adesanya. We know, it's just such a... You're not going to be excited after this fight. I'll put this out there. Once this fight ends, you'll probably be saying, oh, Snooze Adesanya, he's back. Doesn't matter if it's for the title or if it's in the... Doesn't matter if it's for the title. Doesn't matter if it's for the title contending fight. Doesn't matter if it's on a pay-per-view. Doesn't matter if it's on a fight night. He's always going to put the fans to sleep. Stop putting this bum on main cards of pay-per-views as co-main events. Or main events. I don't know why I dragged that around. That was such a really broken down, unfunny joke. It wasn't even a joke. I was just saying what people were going to say. I don't know why everything has to be a joke with me. But anyway, I do want Adesanya to win. I have recently been called a Kamala supporter in the comment section in my last video. That kind of hurt. I'm guessing it's because of the color of my hair. The way I see it, I'm just the only one brave enough to be myself. How about that, right? I'm sure that'll give me a lot of subscribers, that attitude. But anyway, I'm not just some random fanboy of Adesanya who loves the way he paints his nail and dyes his hair pink. And even though I don't really care if you dye your hair, I mean, who am I to talk? Or like kisses his dog on the mouth and like plays with his willy. I don't care. I'm just going back to like what I felt like when I was younger. Youth. The prime of my life. 2019. When you can eat whatever you want. But anyway... Now, I have completely gone off the track with here. Israel Adesanya is going to be the pick. He will be too... I can't say fast if I'm being honest with you. I can't say he'll be too fast. He will be too technical for Imavov. I do think the speed for Imavov isn't the greatest. Like, I'm not looking at Imavov thinking, oh my god, this guy is fucking furious with his speed. He's not that. Adesanya should be able to counter-strike for the most part. I do think this could be a boring fight. But I think Adesanya has shown in recent times that he is willing to put the pressure on a little bit more nowadays. We've seen the Pereira fights. We've seen the DDP fight. He was moving forward. He was getting his own. He was kind of like putting pressure on his opponent. I think he can also implement that. And if Imavov overextends, I think Adesanya still has the counter ability. Can find the shot. Has the power still. I do think Imavov is the guy to fight if he wants to get a win here. I think someone like Chow Brow I might have actually picked to beat Adesanya. But we'll see, because I think the power advantage, like, Chow just has a little bit of more power than Imavov, in my opinion. But yeah, pillow-fisted Imavov, point fighter, Adesanya, and Imavov has not shown the grappling ability to threaten Adesanya like that. Watch him dominate all 5 rounds by taking him down. But anyway, that's the entire video. I think Adesanya is going to get the win. I've put the money on him. You should put your money on him as well, because that's what you do when I give you some bets to put money on. Parlay Adesanya with Sergey Pavlovich, you'll make money, alright? Bet on it. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I have 200 subscribers. Who cares? Let's get me 250 subscribers. Speaking of which, 213 subscribers. 250 is the goal. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video. Comment below. Notification bell. I'll see you next time.